Here's something most people don't think about. The T-800 Terminator weighs around 400 pounds. That's not just heavy, that's catastrophic for anything trying to pass as human. Your footsteps would crack pavement, stairs would groan under your weight, and forget about blending into a crowd when every step announces your presence like a small earthquake. But weight is just the beginning. In this video, we'll break down the T-800's construction, what it means to have a metal endoskeleton wrapped in living tissue, and the very real biological nightmare of trying to maintain that flesh. So what happens when you try to become an unstoppable machine wrapped in human skin? The T-800 is Skynet's masterpiece, a cybernetic organism designed for one purpose: infiltration and termination. In the Terminator films, it's built around a hyper-alloy combat chassis, a metal endoskeleton that's virtually indestructible. Over that frame sits living tissue, real human flesh, blood, and skin, grown specifically to make the machine appear human. The appeal is obvious. You'd be nearly impossible to kill, strong enough to punch through walls, and you'd never tire, never feel pain, never stop. But the moment you examine what that actually means for the organic components, the illusion shatters. The T-800's design comes from a specific tactical need. In the Terminator universe, Skynet's earlier models, the T-600 series, had rubber skin that fooled no one. Resistance fighters spotted them immediately, so Skynet evolved. The T-800 added genuine living tissue, complete with blood vessels and nerve endings, creating something that could pass close inspection. Dogs could still smell the difference, but humans couldn't tell until it was too late. This biological disguise is what makes the T-800 terrifying. It walks among us, looks like us, even bleeds like us, but underneath, it's all cold metal and servo motors. Quick pause. If this kind of analysis interests you, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Let's start with the most immediate issue: mass. A human skeleton weighs around 15 pounds. The T-800's endoskeleton weighs somewhere between 300 to 400 pounds, depending on the model. That's not an upgrade, that's an anchor. Every joint in a normal human body is designed to handle specific loads. Knees distribute your body weight with each step through cartilage and ligaments that flex and absorb impact. But when you're suddenly carrying an extra 350 pounds of internal metal, those systems fail immediately. Cartilage would compress and tear within days. Ligaments would stretch beyond their limits and snap. The spine, designed to support maybe 200 pounds comfortably, would have its discs crushed flat. Walking wouldn't make you look intimidating, it would leave you limping in agony before the week was out. And here's the part the movies skip. Physics doesn't care about your metal frame. When the T-800 walks across a wooden floor, the boards crack. When it climbs stairs, the structure protests. In Terminator 2, when the T-800 jumps from an overpass onto a truck, the impact should have caved in the roof entirely. The movie shows a dent. Reality would show catastrophic failure. Your cardiovascular system wouldn't fare any better. The human heart pumps blood through a body that weighs maybe 150 to 200 pounds. Add 350 pounds of metal, and the heart has to work against crushing internal pressure. Blood vessels would compress under the weight. Your heart would be in constant overdrive, trying to circulate blood through a system that's physically too heavy to sustain. You'd be looking at heart failure within months, maybe weeks. Then there's movement itself. Muscles are sized for the bones they pull. If those bones suddenly weigh 20 times more, your muscles can't generate enough force to move them efficiently. The T-800 in the films moves with fluid precision, but a real human muscular system attached to a metal skeleton would struggle to lift an arm, let alone throw someone across a room. What keeps the Terminator running is rarely discussed but critically important. The T-800 runs on a power cell, a compact nuclear power source that can operate for over a century. In Terminator 3, we see this power cell removed. It's about the size of a human heart and glows with energy. That raises an immediate question: where does all that energy go? Machines generate waste heat. Your laptop gets hot running basic programs. A car engine needs constant cooling. Now imagine a nuclear-powered combat machine with hydraulic systems, processors, and motors all generating heat continuously. That thermal energy has to go somewhere. The T-800's solution, according to the films, is to radiate that heat through its endoskeleton. But here's the problem: living tissue is draped directly over that metal frame. Human cells start dying at temperatures above 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Prolonged exposure to heat denatures proteins, essentially cooking them from the inside. The films never show the T-800 sweating or venting heat, which means all that thermal energy is being conducted directly into the flesh. Burns would be constant. The tissue closest to the endoskeleton would char and die first, creating pockets of necrotic flesh that spread outward. You'd quite literally be cooking yourself alive from the skeleton out. But let's say you somehow manage the heat. Now comes the real horror: maintaining living tissue on a metal frame. Human skin is an organ. It needs blood flow, oxygen, nutrients, and waste removal. It has to regulate temperature, fight infection, and constantly regenerate. The T-800's living tissue has all these needs, but it's stretched over something that can't support biological life. In the films, we see Terminators take damage. The flesh rots, peels away, exposes the metal beneath. That's not just cosmetic, that's inevitable. Living tissue can't bond to metal permanently. Your body would recognize the endoskeleton as a foreign object and attack it. The immune system would go into overdrive. Inflammation would spread and the tissue would begin to necrotize, die and rot, while you're still walking around. We see this clearly in Terminator 2. After the T-800 takes damage, the flesh around its arm decays, turning gray and peeling back. That's not just movie effects, that's what happens when tissue loses its blood supply or becomes infected. In a real scenario, that decay wouldn't stop. It would spread. Gangrene would set in. Sepsis would follow. You'd be a walking infection that your body couldn't fight off because the source of the problem, the metal underneath, can't be removed. And then there's the question movies gloss over entirely: nerve endings. Human flesh is loaded with pain receptors. If you're supposed to pass as human, your tissue needs to feel. But feeling means every bit of damage, every infection, every moment of decay would register as excruciating pain. The T-800 is shown as emotionless, but if a human consciousness were trapped in that body, you'd be screaming. Even if the tissue somehow human skin sheds and regenerates. Hair grows. Wounds heal, or try to. But all of that requires a functioning biological system. Bone marrow producing blood cells, a liver filtering toxins, kidneys managing waste. The T-800 has none of that. Its tissue is essentially a biological shell with no infrastructure. In the real world, that flesh would starve. Cells would die faster than they could regenerate. The skin would become thin, translucent, fragile. Cuts wouldn't heal. Bruises would never fade. You'd be wearing a decaying meat suit that broadcasts your nature to anyone paying attention. The movies show this breaking down in combat, but it would happen regardless. Just existing would cause the tissue to fail. And unlike Wolverine, who has a healing factor constantly repairing damage, the T-800 has no such mechanism. Once the flesh is gone, it's gone. The infiltration unit becomes obvious, and its primary advantage disappears. Let's assume for a moment that somehow, impossibly, you survived all the physical problems. You're left with one final nightmare: the loss of humanity. The T-800 doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, doesn't feel fatigue or pleasure or fear. In the films, that's an advantage. In reality, it's a horror. You'd watch people live their lives, enjoy meals, feel the relief of rest, experience genuine emotion, and you'd have none of it. You'd be an observer, forever separated from the experiences that define being human. The Terminator franchise touches on this in Terminator 2, where the T-800 begins to understand human behavior, but can never truly participate in it. That's not freedom, that's isolation. You'd be trapped in a body that looks human but feels nothing, experiences nothing, connects to nothing. So could you handle being the Terminator? Physically, you'd collapse under your own weight, your tissue would rot off your frame, and your organs would fail within weeks. Psychologically, you'd lose everything that makes life worth living. What looks like ultimate power in the movies is actually a prison of metal and dying flesh. Smash that like button, subscribe if you want more reality versus fiction breakdowns, and comment which character's lifestyle you want me to analyze next. Your suggestion might be the next video. Fantasy might push beyond human limits, but understanding what's real makes the story even better.